Livestock carrier accused of MARPOL violations as it tries to unload cattle. This is from the Maritime Executive, and it was published on the 24th of November 2025. Animal advocacy groups are again sounding the alarm about a livestock carrier that appears to be roaming the Mediterranean seeking ports to unload cargo after it was turned away from Turkey. The Animal Welfare Foundation is calling attention to the situation on board the Togo-flagged vessel Seadog 2 as it continues to advocate for a ban on live animal transport on the high seas. The vessel has been at sea since September the 20th with an initial load of 2,901 cattle, which had been destined for Turkey coming from Uruguay. After reaching Turkey on October the 22nd, the vessel was stopped from unloading after the Turks reportedly found irregularities in the paperwork, including a mismatch between the papers and the animal tags. The ship was briefly permitted to dock to load additional supplies, but set sail again on November the 14th, reporting the cargo was being returned to Uruguay, where it was expected on December the 14th. Animal Welfare Foundation has been tracking the vessel and reports she has gone dark on several occasions in the past few days. The ship turned up off the coast of Tanzania and then arrived in Libya on November the 22nd. Eyewitnesses and satellite images showed trucks at the vessel, and loaded animal transporters were seen leaving the port on Sunday, November the 23rd. It is unclear how many animals were offloaded and what the status is on board the vessel. AWF reports that the veterinarians who accompanied the animals on the trip from Uruguay left the ship in Turkey. They also speculate that the feed loaded in Turkey on November the 9th is depleted. It is unclear what has happened to the carcasses of the animals that died on board. Veterinary authorities in Turkey had reported that at least 58 animals had died, and AWF fears far more has died, as well as the pregnant cows that were on board due to give birth. We assume that dead animals are thrown overboard, AWF writes, and the sewage accumulated over the 2 months was illegally discharged. They had noted white sacks on the deck of the vessel, which were missing when she reached Liberia. Observers also said they did not notice any smell of manure or dead animals. We are witnessing one of the most serious violations of animal welfare and marine conservation in recent years, and yet another example of the structural failure of the live animal trade by sea. The authorities must now immediately clarify whether there are still animals on board the ship, where the animals are being taken, and what happened during the signal shutdowns. AWF is calling for an international intervention into the ship as well as a medical examination of any animals still on board. It is also demanding an investigation into possible MARPOL violations. The Seadog 2, according to our AIS signal, departed Benghazi on November the 24th. It reported a destination of Alexandria, Egypt, where she was due on November the 27th. AWF highlights that the vessel had previously indicated a destination of Lebanon. Databases indicate that the ship is managed from Lebanon and owned by a company in Honduras. Built in 1973, the vessel is 4,000 DWT and listed as having 4,000 square meters of space for animals. It was converted to a livestock carrier in 2011 and has been registered in Togo since 2018. As of right now, the ship is moored in Beirut, Lebanon. So I guess she went home. What happened to all the animals? Maybe they found a buyer or somebody to take them off their hands, the ones that were still alive. The only good thing that could possibly come out of all of this is to highlight what happens on these ships. How bad of an idea it is to transport live cattle in masses like this. You just do the math on how much space each animal had when they were loaded on this ship. It's pretty tight, let me tell you. And then they were at sea for what, 2 months now? More than 2 months? The fact that the wrong animals, or however they got the paperwork screwed up, besides the point, how they transport these live animals on these ships is absolutely disgusting in my opinion. There has to be a better way. Ship food, not animals. Hopefully this is all done and they managed to offload all the animals, at least the ones that are still alive. Of course, we all know what happened to the ones that didn't survive and the manure. That's pretty easy to figure out. Proving it, that's a different story. All right, guys, there it is. As always, thanks for watching. If you're new here and you like these kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And I'll see you on the next one.